If you're new to this world of databases, or if you can remember back to when you were new and green here, you know what I'm going to say when I talk about options and more options. Because in case you haven't noticed, and you've probably picked up on this, databases are complex structures. If you assemble a group of database designers, developers, and administrators, put them all in a room together, divide them into 4 groups, ask them to design and implement a database solution, and then draw it out on a whiteboard for them and leave the room for 30 seconds. Come back into the room and you're going to need a couple of policemen to break up the fights, and stop the furniture from being damaged and stuff. And I'm being a little bit facetious there, but you're going to see, if you haven't already, that there's about 3 million different ways to do almost anything when you're talking about databases. Now, out of those 3 million ways, the vast majority of those probably not the way that you would want to do it. But I can tell you this with absolute confidence. The second database that you ever design will be better than the first, and the third will be better than the second, and so forth. The same thing goes with your T-SQL coding. When you first get started, you'll get some queries to come back. You'll go back and look at those queries 6 months from now, 8 months from now, a year from now, and you'll wonder, wow, I hope nobody else saw this. I hope, why did I do it that way, and so forth. So understand, there's a lot of options here, and there are a lot of things to learn. T-SQL is a very, very surprisingly robust language. There's a lot of different ways to accomplish a task, and the first goal that you need to have when working with this is just simply get the result set you're looking for. But by all means, don't stop there. And the main thing I want to get across to you here, and I should have said it earlier in this video, don't get intimidated. It is intimidating when you first start out and look, but there's a way to deal with this. Here it is. Understanding how SQL Server works is vital to being a better developer, a better database administrator, a better database designer, all those things. But isn't that true about anything in life? But it's even more so working with SQL Server. There's just a lot to learn and understand. Let me give you some shortcuts here. If you're a T-SQL programmer / developer, it's really going to help you to go out and read and learn all you can about what's called the Query Optimizer. This is a collection of functionalities in SQL Server that takes the queries we write and figures out how to go about actually returning the data that we're asking for. And it can get quite complex. It really is fascinating, especially if you're really a nerd and you enjoy this stuff. Like me, it's really fascinating to learn about the Query Optimizer, what it's thinking, and at the end of the day, we're playing football with the Query Optimizer's ball. We're going to have to make this guy happy, or we're not going to like the results we get. You also want to read and learn about different ways of producing the same results. Whether you use a join or a subquery, a view or a table, whether you use triggers or not, whether you use stored procedures, what you do in a single stored procedure, whether you do nesting and all these things and so forth. And so some of these topics you may have never heard of, never thought of, but trust me, they're out there. And you got to be careful, especially if you're around those folks, and we've all known them, that they're very proud of what they know. And they're very proud to tell you from time to time just how much you don't know. All right? Avoid those people as much as possible because there's a lot to know here. And you can't learn it all at once. So let me give you some resources for learning. SQL Books Online is where every piece of information that you see everywhere about SQL Server comes from, except certain really deep dives where members of the SQL development team at Microsoft will write articles and even books and so forth. Microsoft Press puts out a set of books, and any book by Microsoft Press that has the word like SQL Server internals or inside SQL Server or any of that stuff in it, read that stuff. There's some fascinating information that will really help you get into the brain of SQL Server and will make you a better developer and a better database administrator and designer. So SQL Server internals, inside SQL Server. And by the way, you can go back into SQL Server 2008, 2008 R2, into SQL Server 2012. And a lot of what you learn is going to be very, very close to the way it's working in 2012. Anything on SQL Server query optimization is excellent as well. Now, there are books out there on SQL Server internals that are like 1,000 pages, and there's 2 or 3 chapters on query optimization. It's probably worth the price of that book, not only for the other stuff you can use later, but for the query optimization stuff as well. Do not be intimidated. Everybody started out at the same point. We were green. We didn't know how to spell SQL. We didn't know exactly what to do. Most database administrators are willing to assist you in learning. If you're around one who is more interested in making you feel stupid because you don't know as much as they do, even though they've been doing it for 20 years, avoid those people and go find someone helpful. A great resource. If you will look in your local area for a SQL Server users group, go join that thing. They have good food, especially on the nights when Microsoft is speaking. They have good giveaways, but more, you'll find a friend there who will teach you more about SQL Server than you would have ever learned before. So anyway, there's a lot of options here. Don't get intimidated. Go step by step, and I hope this will help you find out how to learn what you need to know about SQL Server.